For many, the allure of exotic destinations promises relaxation, adventure, and unforgettable memories. From remote beaches to vibrant backpacker towns, the global tourism industry continues to grow, drawing millions each year. Yet, beneath the postcard-perfect images, dangers often lie, hidden threats that can turn a dream vacation into a fatal nightmare. Today, we explore 3 tragedies involving tourists in far-flung locations. Each incident exposed serious safety gaps, whether through lax regulation, inadequate oversight, or simply tragic chance. These are the stories of tainted alcohol poisoning in Laos, silent carbon monoxide deaths in Belize, and a case of sudden, permanent blindness in Bali. Each is true. Each could happen again. And each serves as a haunting reminder. Sometimes paradise has a dark side. Vang Vieng was once a sleepy Laotian village along the Nam Song River. But over the past 2 decades, it transformed into a party haven for backpackers chasing adrenaline, cheap alcohol, and riverside bliss. The once peaceful town now pulses with music, neon lights, and tourism dollars. It's the kind of place where backpackers are encouraged to leave their inhibitions at the door. Bars give out free shots. Hostels organize pub crawls. Tubing down the river often turns into a blur of drinking games and risky stunts. For many young travelers, it's a rite of passage. But beneath the surface, Vang Vieng has developed a deadly reputation. In November 2024, that reputation took a tragic turn. 6 tourists, all in different stages of their adventures, died after consuming free vodka shots at the Nana Backpackers Hostel, one of the town's most popular party destinations. Among them was 19-year-old Bianca Jones, an Australian on her first solo trip abroad. Her Instagram was filled with smiles from Thailand, Cambodia, and finally Laos. Her best friend, 19-year-old Holly Bowles, was with her. They had arrived in Vang Vieng just 2 days earlier. Another victim, Simone White, a 28-year-old British lawyer, had been seeking a break from her high-pressure career in London. She'd hoped to find serenity in Southeast Asia's slower pace. 2 Danish women, 19 and 20 years old, had been traveling together on a post-graduation gap year. And, finally, a 57-year-old American man, traveling solo, was also among the dead. His name was never publicly released at the request of his family. At first, the death seemed like a tragic coincidence. But autopsies revealed a common thread: methanol poisoning. Methanol is a cheap industrial alcohol used in antifreeze, fuel, and cleaning agents. It's clear, odorless, and toxic to humans. Just 10 milliliters can cause permanent blindness. 30 milliliters, about 2 tablespoons, can kill. The victims had unknowingly consumed methanol-laced alcohol, most likely homemade vodka passed off as legitimate liquor. It had been offered for free at the bar as part of a hostel promotion. Investigators believe it was meant to lure guests into spending more on cocktails and beer. But this wasn't a single bad bottle. Authorities later discovered that the methanol-tainted liquor had been mixed in large batches and distributed over several nights. More than a dozen travelers fell ill. 6 never recovered. The town's tiny medical clinic was overwhelmed. Local doctors were unprepared for such severe poisoning cases. Life-saving treatments like hemodialysis, ethanol drips, or the antidote fompazole were either unavailable or delayed. The hostel was immediately shut down by Laotian authorities. Several employees were detained, but questions lingered. How long had counterfeit liquor been served? And how many other bars were doing the same? The incident was not isolated. In the years prior, there had been scattered reports of methanol poisoning in Laos, Cambodia, Indonesia, and Vietnam. But this case, due to the number of young foreign victims, garnered international attention. Australia, the UK, and Denmark issued travel warnings. Consular officials flew in to assist families, and a global spotlight turned toward the murky world of unregulated alcohol in tourist hotspots. For backpackers, the incident became a chilling cautionary tale. The appeal of free drinks, cheap spirits, and unvetted nightlife suddenly carried weightier consequences. Because in places like Vang Vieng, the most dangerous drink might be the one that's handed to you for free. San Pedro, Belize is a tropical postcard. Turquoise waters, palm-lined beaches, and pastel-colored resorts attract travelers from around the world. Snorkeling with nurse sharks, drinking piña coladas under a thatched roof. For many, it's the picture of Caribbean luxury. But in February 2025, that illusion shattered. 3 young women from Massachusetts Kauter Nakad, 23, Imani Mala, 24, and Wafe El Arar, 26, were found dead in their hotel suite at the upscale Royal Kahal Beach Resort. Their vacation had only just begun. The 3 friends had traveled to Belize for a girls' getaway. They'd booked massages, taken selfies on the beach, and planned to visit Mayan ruins later that week. But just 2 days after check-in, hotel staff found them unresponsive. They were pronounced dead at the scene. Initial theories ranged from drug overdose to alcohol poisoning. But toxicology reports revealed the true cause: carbon monoxide poisoning. CO is a colorless, odorless gas. It's often called the silent killer because it replaces oxygen in the bloodstream without warning. Victims become drowsy, disoriented, and ultimately stop breathing all without realizing anything's wrong. In this case, the culprit was a defective water heater located just outside the women's suite. The gas had seeped through ventilation gaps and filled the enclosed space. All 3 women likely died in their sleep. The news shocked Belize and reverberated across the U.S. Questions emerged. How could a resort of that caliber not have carbon monoxide detectors? Why weren't safety inspections being enforced? As it turned out, CO detectors weren't required by Belizean law. And like many tropical resorts built to maximize airflow, construction standards often prioritize aesthetics over airtightness. That combination can be deadly when gas leaks occur. Following the tragedy, the Belize Tourism Board launched an emergency audit of local hotels. Royal Kahal Beach Resort was temporarily closed. Detectors were installed, but the damage was done. The victims' families called for international accountability and urged travelers to carry portable CO detectors, a $30 device that could save a life. The story dominated headlines in New England, where vigils were held in the women's honor. All 3 victims were American citizens of Moroccan descent. Their story became a symbol not only of tragedy, but of the systemic safety lapses that continue to plague even high-end travel experiences. Globally, carbon monoxide kills over 50,000 people per year. Yet, in many countries, detector laws don't exist. That leaves tourists vulnerable, especially in places where appliances are old, inspections are rare, and emergency response is slow. For the families of Kauter, Imani, and Wafe, the pain of loss was made worse by the knowledge that their deaths were entirely preventable. Ashley King had saved for months. The 26-year-old Canadian from Calgary had always dreamed of seeing the world. So when she landed in Bali in 2011, halfway through a solo trip across Southeast Asia, she was full of excitement and optimism. Like many travelers, Ashley was drawn to Bali's vibrant beaches, spiritual culture, and legendary nightlife. It was supposed to be a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Instead, it nearly killed her. One night, Ashley went out with friends in a popular backpacker town like Kuta or Seminyak. They drank, danced, and celebrated. Ashley ordered a single cocktail. That's all it took. The next morning, Ashley woke up in her hostel, gasping for air. Her vision was gone. "I wasn't able to breathe," she later recalled in a podcast interview. And shortly after, I wasn't able to see. She had gone to bed healthy. She woke up blind. At the hospital, doctors diagnosed her with methanol poisoning. The drink she had consumed the night before had been spiked with industrial-grade alcohol. Methanol damages the optic nerves. By the time Ashley was medevaced to Singapore for advanced treatment, the damage was irreversible. She would never regain her full sight. Methanol poisoning is tragically common in parts of Indonesia. Local bootleggers often sell counterfeit alcohol to bars and clubs. They use methanol because it's cheap and easy to obtain. It's mixed with flavoring, water, and sometimes real alcohol to mask the taste. In tourist areas like Bali, Some bars knowingly buy these fake spirits to cut costs, especially for shots, mixed drinks, or all-you-can-drink promotions. In 2013, just 2 years after Ashley's case, 20 people died from methanol-tainted cocktails on the Gili Islands. Australian and UK authorities have repeatedly issued warnings, but enforcement remains weak. Ashley's life changed forever. She returned to Canada legally blind, but she refused to stay silent. In 2024, she told her story publicly on the podcast Static, a Party Girl's memoir. Her goal: to warn other travelers, to make sure no one else wakes up blind from a single cocktail. Today, Ashley's case is one of the most widely cited examples of methanol poisoning in Indonesia. It exposed not just the dangers of counterfeit alcohol, but the deep flaws in how tourist safety is monitored, enforced, and communicated abroad. For many, the allure of exotic destinations promises relaxation, adventure, and unforgettable memories. From remote beaches to vibrant backpacker towns, the global tourism industry continues to grow, drawing millions each year. Yet, beneath the postcard-perfect images, dangers often lie hidden. Dangers that can turn a dream vacation into a fatal nightmare. Vang Vieng, San Pedro, Bali, 3 locations on 3 continents, each known for their beauty, warmth, and magnetic appeal to travelers. But behind the glossy images lie hazards, some invisible, others systemic, that can turn a holiday into a disaster. Bianca, Holly, Simone, Ashley, Kautar, Imani, and Wafay weren't reckless. They weren't thrill seekers courting danger. They were tourists, travelers, people like any of us looking for an escape, a memory, an adventure. And what they found instead was tragedy. Each of these stories reminds us that travel isn't just about where you go, but what you don't know. Because sometimes the greatest risk in paradise isn't the ocean, the jungle, or the volcano. It's the drink, the heater, the silence. And once it strikes, there's no warning, only the aftermath.